Hi friends, welcome back to my classes. Today I am going to discuss about pathophysiology of Parkinson's disease. What is Parkinson's? Generally, when a patient is being affected with this Parkinson's, they will have the shaking of the hands and legs. So that is the reason it is also termed as shaking palsy. So this disease is first described as shaking palsy by James Parkinson in the year of 1817. What happens in this Parkinson's disease is the neurons are being degenerated in the brain. So it is a neurodegenerative brain disorder. The similar term which refers to this Parkinson is Parkinsonism, which we're terming as similar one, but there is a difference between this Parkinson's and Parkinsonism. Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative brain disorder, whereas Parkinsonism is referring to a group of neurological disorders which may cause the disturbances of our movements. So, Parkinson's is a single disease, Parkinsonism is a group of neurological disorders. The common symptoms of this Parkinson's are, as I told, shaking, loss of motor control, non-motor symptoms like depression, loss of sense of smell, gastric problems, cognitive changes, etc. So, Parkinson's is a slow, progressive, degenerative disorder. The common symptoms include mask-like or moon-like face with a blank expression, bradykinesia, which is slowing or slowness of the movements, like loss of normal arm swing while walking, decreased blinking of the eyelids, loss of ability to swallow, blank expression as I told, and difficulty in initiating the movements. They can't easily sit or stand. That is difficulty in initiating the movement. Stooped posture, pin rolling of like tremors, which may happen in the hands, arms, or the fingers. They may have increase with the stress condition, and the muscle rigidity, like increased resistance to the passive movements, jerky movements, or they will have slow movements or shuffling. The joint may be not proper. To remember easily the symptoms of this Parkinson's, the mnemonic is TRAP. You can remember the symptoms as a TRAP. T indicates tremors, which is involuntary trembling of the limbs. R for rigidity, nothing but stiffness of the muscles. A for akinesia, lack of movements or slowness in the movements of initiating or doing any movements. P for postural instability, nothing but the stability will not be there in the posture how your body is being maintained. Postural instability. So, why Parkinson's is been caused? So, in our body, we have neurotransmitters, right? So, acetylcholine and dopamine, there will be a balance in a normal person. So, when there is an imbalance between this acetylcholine and dopamine, when the dopamine levels are decreased and the acetylcholine levels are increased, it results in the Parkinson's disease. So you can see this picture over here. So when there is an imbalance, dopamine levels are decreased, deficiency of dopamine and increased levels of acetylcholine usually results in the Parkinson's disease. So how we can correct this? Either by increasing the dopamine or by decreasing the acetylcholine, we can have a balance of this acetylcholine and dopamine so that we can control the Parkinsonism. So, apart from the deficiency of dopamine, there may be other reasons which may result in the Parkinson's disease. The pathogenesis of Parkinson's disease. It may be due to the free radicals or deficiency in the energy metabolism or programmed cell death, genetic factors, environmental factors, protein aggregation, aging, and drug induced Parkinsonism. All these are the reasons for the development of Parkinson's disease. So in the previous slide, we have seen various factors which are developing the Parkinsonism. So how they are developing, that we will see in this coming slides. So the first one is free radicals. These free radicals are most dangerous which may cause the Parkinson's disease. The most common free radicals are hydroxy radicals, superoxide radicals and nitric oxide radicals. Apart from this, there are other molecules like hydrogen peroxide. So they may directly not cause this free radicals, but they have the capacity to generate these free radicals, thereby they causes this Parkinson's. And the dopamine, This is a very unstable molecule in the nature, so it undergoes the auto-oxidation metabolism and it produces the free radicals. The next factor is programmed cell death. So as we have seen in the previous slides, the dopamine levels have been decreased. So that dopaminergic degeneration will happen in the brain, which may develop in the Parkinson's disease. So the caspases are the protease enzymes which play a major role in the cell death process. The cell death process includes apoptosis, autophagic cell death and necroptosis. All this leads to the cell death. So because of this degeneration of the dopaminergic neurons, these caspases are activated and the cell death will happen. The next factor is environmental factors, which includes the MPTP, which is an environmental toxin. MPTP is nothing but 1-methyl 4-phenyl 1,2,3,6 tetrahydropyridine. The repeated injections of this MPTP will result in the development of Parkinson's disease. So certain pesticides like rotenone, paraquat will lead to the oxidative and nitrative stress, which may lead to the development of Parkinson's disease. And differently, the smokers and coffee drinkers will have less chances, or they are at the lower risk to the Parkinson's disease. Why? Why the smokers and coffee drinkers are less risk to the Parkinson's? Because a person who is smoking or having the coffee, in this smoking there is a chemical called as ubiquitin proteasome system. This system will help for the prevention of misfolding of proteins or to the removal of unwanted misfolding of the proteins. That is the reason they are less prone for the Parkinson's disease, and they also upregulate the nicotine acetylcholine receptors. So when the acetylcholine receptors are upregulated or upregulated, the acetylcholine levels will be decreased. That is the reason smokers and coffee drinkers are less risk for the Parkinson's. So the other factors include protein aggregation and aging. Proteins, they play a major role in our body. When the protein misfolding happens, they will accumulate in our body. So when they accumulate in our body, it will disturb our normal function. So when this protein misfolding happens, they may accumulate as the amyloid folding in our brain, which may develop in the Alzheimer's, Parkinson's and other disorders. Next, coming to aging. So, as a person's age increases, the oxidative stress, the respiratory depression, calcium handling, iron content, all this will be disturbed. Because of this, a person may develop the Parkinson's disease. The last factor for the development of Parkinson is drug induced. When you are using certain drugs, there are chances of developing the Parkinson's. Example, reserpine and other related drugs, tetrabenazine, which will deplete the biogenic monoamines from their storage sites. Haloperidol, metchlorbromide, phenothiazines, they will block the dopamine receptors. And these drugs, they may have the chance of developing this Parkinson's disease when you are using these drugs continuously for approximately 3 months. Coming to the investigations and diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, we can investigate by doing the CT scan or MRI, and we can observe for the abnormalities of the basal ganglia, or we can see whether the muscle rigidity is there, whether a person is developing tremors, slowing of the movements like bradykinesia and postural instability. If these symptoms have been there for a person, we can diagnose that he may have a chance of developing the Parkinson's disease. The other diagnostic features include neurological impairment and responsiveness to the levodopa. If a person is responding, if you are treating with them with the levodopa drug, they are responding, their symptoms are minimizing, then it is identification that a person is being affected with the Parkinson's. So once a person is identified with Parkinson's disease, we are going to treat them by using the anti-Parkinson's drugs. So what these drugs are doing, either they are increasing the dopamine levels or they are decreasing the acetylcholine levels. So first, coming to the class of drugs which are increasing the dopamine levels, dopamine precursors after going into our body, they will get converted into the dopamine. Levodopa is an example. Then which are preventing the decarboxylation That is peripheral decarboxylase inhibitors, example carbidopa and benserazide, dopaminergic agonists which are acting as dopamine, and MAO inhibitors and COMT inhibitors, monoamine oxidase and catechol O-methyl transferase inhibitors, and dopamine facilitators. All these drugs are increasing the levels of dopamine in our body. And the next class of drugs are which are acting on the cholinergic system or which are decreasing the acetylcholine levels. Central anticholinergics and antihistaminic drugs.